Jujutsu Kaisen Season 2 is ending, and I have some thoughts about it. There are going to be spoilers, so you've been warned. The second season of JJK contains two arcs, Gojo's past arc and the Shibuya incident arc. The former is a look into the past of the most powerful Jujutsu sorcerer, Gojo Satoru. The story is set while Gojo is attending Jujutsu High, along with his best friend, Gedo Suguru. The plot consists of the two of them protecting a young girl, and in the story we get a look at how Gojo became the strongest and how Gedo is started down his path leading into darkness. The majority of the season, however, is dedicated to the Shibuya incident arc. This arc is about Gedo, or more specifically, the host that is controlling Gedo's body, and the other special grade curses as they execute a plan to trap Gojo and awaken Sukuna or kill Yuji. The arc is a sprawling story where the famous entertainment district of Japan is used as a battleground for many fights between curses and jujutsu sorcerers. While more time is dedicated to the Shibuya incident arc, what I like about the season is the pairing of these two arcs. The first reason is the role that Gojo plays in both stories. While Gojo is present for the beginning of the second arc, he is quickly trapped in the prison realm and absent from the rest of the season. Because of this, it's great that the entire first arc is dedicated to him. We get to see him develop in his physical abilities and in his worldview, getting a look into why he decided to become a teacher. Because he is one of the most popular and important characters, it's easy to see that this absence would be frustrating to fans if this time early in the season wasn't dedicated to him. The first arc develops the complex relationship between Gojo and Gedo. The two go from best friends to enemies, when Gedo, after being forever changed by their mission, adopts a radical worldview. This comes back in the second arc when Kinjaku, who is in control of Gedo's body, knows that the history of their friendship will have an effect on Gojo and uses this against him. The first arc also introduces other characters that come back in the Shibuya incident. While I did enjoy the first arc, the Shibuya incident overshadows it by a great deal. I didn't feel as connected to the conflict and the side characters in this first story, and certain scenes dragged a bit. However, some of the action scenes, particularly in the last episode, were great. That being said, I loved the second arc. It's great when a show spends a good amount of time developing characters, then pays it off with a storyline where all the characters you've been getting to know meet. We've been developing many characters on both sides of this conflict, and this arc puts them all in the same location and lets a sort of controlled chaos ensue. Because most of this arc is centered around various action scenes, it's important that the action is well executed. For the most part, the action was excellent, with each action scene feeling distinctive. While we did spend a lot of time with characters we have gotten to know during season 1 and the movie, we were also introduced to new characters who have personality and memorability, even if they have a short amount of screen time. Some of my favorite action scenes were Gojo versus Jogo and Hanami, Dragon versus too many people to name, Sukuna versus Gojo, and Sukuna versus Maharaga. However, I want to talk a little bit about my top 3 favorite fight scenes. I'll start with Yuji versus Choso. This scene was so cinematic. The animation for the entire show was great, but this scene feels even more realistic and meticulously animated. I like the creator's use of the wide Street Fighter-esque angles, which show both characters facing off in close combat that is expertly choreographed. My second favorite is Nanami versus Haruta. There's a simple reason that I like this fight scene. Haruta is the absolute worst. There are characters that do worse things than him, but he is the most unlikable character. So it was amazing to see Nanami destroy him. And my favorite fight scene has to be Todo and Yuji versus Mahito. This multi-episode fight scene is sprawling and so well executed. It's a fight that highlights the personality and fighting style of each character. We are given human moments like when Yuji gives up after Nobara is killed, or when Mahito experiences fear and defeat for the first time. This is one of many human moments that make Jujutsu Kaisen great. In a very action-heavy show, it can be easy to forget to slow down and show who the characters really are. This arc saw many characters die, but the two most impactful deaths were Nanami and Nobara. The latter's death was devastating. I appreciate the backstory we got of her life before Jujutsu High, and it made me appreciate her character even more. Nanami is my favorite character of the entire show. His fighting style is great, and his backstory and characterization are really relatable. However, his death was done in such a tasteful way. This is one of 2 perfect scenes in this season. It was so fitting for his character, who fights for what he believes in, despite finding all of life monotonous and meaningless. In the past, he left jujutsu to live a regular life, getting a job in an office that didn't bring him any meaning or comfort. His life lived in a cubicle is a stark contrast to the visions of himself free on a beach as he dies, symbolizing his shedding of his worldly problems, like the depression he deals with. The second perfect scene comes at the end of the fight between Todo, Yuji, and Mahito. As Mahito realizes he has been defeated, he runs from Yuji, then has a vision of himself in the snow running with a group of white rabbits. Yuji in the vision becomes one of many wolves that are hunting the rabbits. As an audience member, this season really increases your hatred of Mahito as much as it can, as both of the previously mentioned deaths were his doing. So this scene is an interesting contrast as it shows him in a helpless and fearful light that we have never seen the character in before. While I've yet to see the show's finale, I wanted to make a review about how much I enjoyed this season. It had a few flaws, which for me mostly had to do with the first arc sometimes feeling boring. Also, some of the animation in certain fight scenes came across as unpolished or unfinished. However, this, for the most part, didn't distract or bother me, because it was done in a tasteful and visually interesting way. The majority of the animation was incredible, and the story and characters made it easy to look past these animation flaws. I've been thinking all day about how to score the second season of Jujutsu Kaisen, and also about reviews at large. I didn't want to make a review at first, because I think essays are more interesting than reviews. The numbers I give don't really mean anything, and I expect my opinions to change regularly. I would say there are certain scenes and episodes in the season that, on their own, would receive 10 out of 10. But as an entire season, I'll give JJK Season 2 a 9 out of 10. Just because the first arc lost my attention at times. If you like this video, I'd love it if you subscribe to the channel. I plan on making a lot more similar videos in the future, and let me know what you thought of the season. Thanks for watching.